Hi everybody, welcome to Get Mental. This is Transformation Tuesday, and I have such an amazing guest right now. I'm so excited to have her on the show because she is an incredible woman, Miss Rhonda Hayston. She is the founder of the Coronado Bridge Collaborative. Technically, it's the Coronado San Diego Bridge Collaborative for Suicide Prevention. Basically, she started this mission out of her passion for really trying to prevent suicides happening on the Coronado Bridge. And so this is a very important subject in mental health, and especially right now because of COVID-19. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Miss Rhonda Hayston. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. What a lovely introduction, and I'm in good company. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So Rhonda, can you tell us a little bit about yourself so the audience has some background information on
Sure.
who you are?
Sure. So I'm a registered nurse, and I'm a native San Diegan. I moved to Coronado about 10 years ago, and so I saw a need in the community regionally, and nobody was doing anything about this, so I thought I'd take it on to see if I could do anything.
Wow. You make it sound so simple. I'm sure it was a little...
There's a lot of effort went into it, but I think we're seeing progress.
Yeah. May I ask you, what led you to decide this cause? Like, why suicide prevention?
Sure. So when I was living amongst the community of Coronado, I was meeting people, and they had witnessed jumpers committed, suicides and attempted suicides 4 and 5 times, like more than one friend. And I was like, wow, that's got to be traumatic.
Right.
And I had 2 uncles who committed suicide, when I was younger. So it hit my family personally. They didn't jump off the bridge, but suicide's been, a hard pack in my family's life as well.
Yeah. So you've been personally touched by it, which is often the case with all of us in the healing professions.
Yes.
I specialize in trauma because I've been personally touched and my family and so forth. Okay. So we're going to jump right into, why you're here at Get Mental today, because I believe that there's a mental health crisis that is happening in our country, even before COVID. And so with the COVID event and now the kind of the political climate that we're currently in, I'm sensing that, there's just a kind of a more heightened sense of hopelessness and helplessness and anger going around the country. What has been your experience since COVID-19 as it relates to depression and suicide attempts on the bridge?
I read a recent statistic, I think it was published by NAMI, that said that in the past, I'm not sure if it was 5 or 10 years, suicide rates in the United States have gone up by 30%. That's just amazing.
Oh, yes. Especially with teens.
Yes, and unacceptable, absolutely. So regionally, I will say the numbers that we're seeing from reports from medical examiner's office in San Diego County, we can't see what effects, if any, that there have been on suicides as it relates to COVID since like February. We don't have those numbers out yet. They only come out to the 3rd quarter of last year. Okay. I guess the reason for that, I'm not quite sure. They'd have to speak to this, but they have to close the cases. Like, they have to prove the cause of death, and some of them just aren't, they're not positive, so they leave it open. So that's why we're only confirmed to the 3rd quarter of 2019. But as of then, we have 421 deaths off this bridge.
Since when? What data is that?
Oh, yeah. So it opened for cars passing through 1969.
Okay. Wow. So since 1969 up until the present, as of 3rd quarter of 2019, there have been 429 known deaths.
421 as I know it, yeah.
421, okay. And I was looking at some stats here. It looks like the average completed suicides on the bridge from 2012 to 2019 is between 12 to 19 per year.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
correct.
And the sad thing is, this seems like something that could be easily fixed.
Mhm.
That's my opinion as a layperson. I don't know what it takes to, and the political issues related to changing a bridge or addressing the issues on the bridge. But why do you think we haven't been able to fix this problem yet?
Sure. Well, I don't know why it wasn't brought to the forefront sooner, because the problem had been occurring this whole time. It's 50 years that, the span.
Yeah.
We'll say that it's going to be quite expensive, so that may be one factor. It's
Okay.
also multi levels, many jurisdictions and organizations like law enforcement, regional lawmakers, you name it. Somebody's got a claim and a stake in this structure. It's a national monument. If it's not, you're going to
Ah,
deem it a national monument. So you can't change those structures once they're, landmarked or whatever.
wow. That's really educational. I did not realize that, because
Yeah.
what seems to be like such a simple fix from a layperson's perspective, right? We
Right?
don't understand like how complicated it is.
Yeah, you'd think slap a fence up there and everybody would be okay, but it's just not like that. They have to do studies to make sure that the payload can handle it. Well, that the bridge can handle the payload, as well as the winds. You look at San Francisco with the Golden Gate Bridge, and it took them 10 years to get their nets, but they are having their nets installed right now. And they
Yeah,
had,
I read about that.
yeah, 1,400 deaths on theirs to date. They're
Yeah.
still not done, but they're in the process of putting those nets up.
So for people who don't kind of know what we're talking about here, San Francisco um, spent almost $200 million on creating a net that would catch people who would jump off the bridge, the Golden Gate, right?
Yes, ma'am. Over 200 million, yes.
Over 200 million. So is there kind of the same intention for San Diego?
The intention is the same because the
Oh,
problem is the same. However, it's not going to be necessarily that method. They're right now we're doing the second feasibility study with Caltrans. We're watching. And they're leaning towards a reverse S fence. It's like 12-foot sections that can come down so that they can perform maintenance on the bridge. But think of the letter S and turn it upside down. And so it has the appearance of a wave. So it would be lovely. I mean, if we're going to add, to the aesthetic, not take away it's like a design sort of, which is
okay.
going to be 10 feet high.
Okay. So collectively, it sounds like there's an agreement that something needs to be done. It's just a matter of how to get it done and what type of structure or design we're
Yes.
going to agree upon as a group. But you're all on the same page that it needs to be addressed.
We're all on the same page that something needs to be done with regards to lawmakers and decision makers. But how to get it done is the integral key piece that nobody knows how, because nobody's ever done this before. Golden Gate Bridge has their own set of circumstances, but that's its own structure. Same with this bridge; it's its own structure. So how do you get the funding? How do you get the engineering to agree on a certain type of method? Well, we're diligently going through all of the processes that need to happen in order for something like this to take place.
So Rhonda, what do you think is kind of the prognosis? Like when do you think this thing might be completed, this project?
So from the last meeting I attended with Caltrans, the director was in attendance for District 11. They had indicated this is going to take about 10 years. We're in the process already, 3 years, so 7 more years. Right now, they're in the second feasibility study where they're going to determine exactly which method to use. And then after that, I think they're going to be looking for the funding.
Okay, so you're projecting another 7 years, and is this regardless of who's in office?
I think it's regardless of who's in office, because we got legislation passed. Senate Bill 656 was passed a year or two ago that said that we would be able to get emergency funds allocated to this project, and they would be federal and they would be on the state level. So
Okay.
the money's gonna come whether whoever's in office, I think.
Okay. And from your experience, do you think there are other ways we could um, help people who are thinking about hurting themselves on the bridge right now? Maybe some practical tips for, a driver on the bridge who sees somebody there. Like, what are some of your thoughts on what we can do now to help each other out?
There's no call boxes on the bridge span because there's all of the space up there is traffic lanes. So there's
Right.
nowhere to sit for someone to stand
Because
safely.
the
And
phones are on the beginning of the bridge, right? As you're getting
there,
on.
there's only one, and it's at the toll plaza on the Coronado side. And it's attached to the building itself. So if somebody was going to, be suicidal and want help, they're not going to go, well, in my opinion, they're not going to go to the building where CHP hangs out because they don't want to go be put in jail or in the county mental health.
Or some of them don't want to be seen, or
That's
they're
right.
really trying, they're really committed to committing it.
That's for sure. Yes. So I think if they were to move the call boxes to a more discreet location,
Right.
also patrolling the area that's under and around
Yes.
more frequently, and also since nobody can, hang out up there and say, "Hey, can we help you? Are you okay?" Put vehicle patrol, back and
Yeah.
forth on a regular basis. I don't think they do it at all now.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because I mean, I'm sure Coronado Police, and correct me if I'm wrong, could have the resources to patrol that bridge if they wanted to.
I have called them a couple times because someone reached out to me that was suicidal and they were on it right away. So they have the resources, when it's, immediate need. I don't know long term. They would have to speak to that.
Yeah, yeah. You would, I'm all about like thinking outside the box and thinking of solutions, right? And
I got
I,
it. I have an outside the box idea. The toll plaza is the only one side of that building is being used. It's being used by the CHP to monitor the bank of cameras that they have on the bridge. The
yeah,
other side of it could be you put in like students that are going to SDSU or UCSD. They're like social workers.
psychology students, yeah, forensics, or
Yes.
I love that. I
See,
love
right?
that.
I wish I
Yeah,
could do that. Yeah.
yeah, because absolutely. I think I shared this with you offline, many weeks ago. I used to work for the San Diego Access and Crisis Line.
Perfect. Yes.
And that's the number that phone you're describing will ring
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
And we had a special phone for that. And
Oh, is that right?
and we would take a rotation. We would
Interesting.
rotate the shifts of who takes the calls from that bridge. I never got a call, but every time it rang, we would all look at each other and go, oh my goodness, like this is almost about to happen,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a great idea what you brought up. So what do we know
Well,
about,
hey, talk to whoever you can about that.
yeah, to maybe like,
Maybe.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You got my wheels turning for sure.
Yeah.
What do we know about the people who
Hmm.
have jumped
Hmm.
and have passed away?
So suicide targets every socioeconomic demographic that there is in our population of human beings that live on this planet. It
Yes.
doesn't matter if you're rich or poor or sick or healthy or
Or
young
white or black or
or white
Asian?
or black or Asian or Vietnam veteran status. It doesn't matter. It hits all of us. It hits every one of us. Yeah.
Wow, wow. And how do they know that somebody jumped?
Oh, okay. Like the bridge. How does the bridge
Yes.
know?
Are there cameras up there?
There is. So remember I talked about the levels, the jurisdiction levels, all of
Yeah.
these different law enforcement agencies that are involved.
Yes.
So there's harbor police that control the water. There's the
Okay.
CHP that control the span of the bridge. There's Coronado that controls spans of the bridge, and there's San Diego Police Department that controls the span of the bridge. So when
Wow.
somebody calls, like let's say a passerby calls 911, it goes to CHP. But sometimes somebody will see them and call Coronado Police Department, and then CHP doesn't know about it, and it's just no one just keeping track of this.
So they're not coordinating. There's no
Not at all.
coordinated effort.
Negative.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is there movement towards coordination?
Well, we were going to have movement towards that, and then we got forward progress on getting Senate Bill 656 passed. So we were like, you know what, let's not push it. We want this, the progress to occur, not the counting of the numbers for the, the resources. It's more important.
What's that Senate bill? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that.
Oh, well, it's Senate Bill 656. It's the one that we had written. Senator Ben Hueso, sorry, wrote it for us about 2 years ago and got it in front of the Transportation Committee for California State Senate. And it just says that we need to move with urgency on this bill, this project, because it affects the public safety so much.
Okay. Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
So we are assuming, at least for me as a mental health clinician, that the jumpers at a minimum have some kind of mental health issue, whether diagnosed or not, right?
I would absolutely agree with that, yes.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything more that you know about them?
Well, I mean, that would be something to speak to psychiatric emergency response team about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have statistics on what their mental health conditions are.
Or the demographic, yeah.
That's right, but I will say that I think it's American Suicide Prevention. That organization has a current statistic that says 95% of people that commit suicide had a treatable mental illness upon their death. So
yes.
Yes.
And a lot of times, it's a stressor. There's a trigger to that depressive episode for all of you listening, right? And that stressor or set of stressors can overwhelm a person. And at that point, they believe that the only way to end their pain is to end their life, And
yep, that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's an important distinction to make, that there's two types of depression.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember the terminology, but one is people that are depressed.
The clinically depressed.
And the others are schizophrenics.
Yep.
And there's two different ways of treating these patients. So one is not necessarily going to help the other. But that's to be the people, public, I think, needs to be educated about that.
Right. But, at a minimum, we need to make it hard for people to commit it, right? Or to jump. Or to be able to catch them with a net, so that we have the opportunity to treat,
It takes 6 seconds from once they stop their car mid-span, park it, get out, and jump over. 6 seconds. And that's not enough time for anyone to get to them.
Yeah. Wow. You are doing some incredible work here for the community, I tell you. Are you a lone person in this endeavor, or do you have other people in this collaborative helping you?
We do. We have so many volunteers. I think the current number is like 2,000 in the group and 2,500 on the page. But please visit our website. There's lots of great resources and information there. CoronadoBridge.net.
CoronadoBridge.net. Is that a play on words?
Well, it was before we found out what the method was going to be, and we were just playing off of San Francisco because we knew they were getting nets, so we were hoping that we would get nets.
So what are the volunteers do for you or for the collaborative?
It depends. Like every summer, except for this year because COVID, we have a memorial service for all those who have passed from the bridge. Families come, friends come, there's different clergy that represents their denominations. They all speak. It's beautiful. Every year, this is the 5th year, and more and more people are coming out and just spending the time amongst all of us. We have this shared thing that we can be compassionate to each other about, and it's beautiful.
Oh my gosh, that is really lovely. The service you're providing to our community, Do you ever partner with other nonprofits like NAMI,
Absolutely. And we're all connected on Facebook. So if they need anything, we're here for them, and vice versa.
Okay, wonderful. Do you guys ever have kind of free counseling funds or funds to help people with treatment?
So Coronado San Diego Bridge Collaborative for Suicide Prevention is a nonprofit, but we dissolved it because we didn't need to collect any money, because
Okay.
all this funding is going to come from federal or California state grants, most of it anyway.
Right.
So we don't need to have any money for this, but
Right.
we're there for whomever other nonprofits that need us to help them collect money anytime.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so last, final thoughts, Rhonda, on what the community can do to help.
So mental health and wellness needs to start at the primary level. If you are feeling, or you have a loved one that's feeling like there might be something going on mentally, have it checked out at your physician, primary care physician, urgent care, or a clinic that you guys can access, easily.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you get those medications that they recommend. Go and see a psychologist. Stay on the meds. Tell the doctor or whomever if the meds don't seem to be helping. People seem to think that, oh, I got a medication prescription, there it must be the right one. No, not always. Sometimes it takes a long time testing
Find the right fit.
what
Yeah.
antidepressants is going to work for you. And sometimes they have to put more than one. There's a combination of two that would work.
Mm-hmm.
Keep talking to your healthcare clinician about it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That's such a powerful message, especially I've been doing this for a few years, 20 years, and I can tell you that there's still a lot of misconception about psychotropic medications.
Yes.
That's why I got Jamie
there you go.
on my show. I had a nurse practitioner who specializes in psychiatry to come on the show to talk about it, because I wanted people to not be so afraid of it. Let's just demystify this thing, because for some people it literally is life-saving.
Absolutely,
So,
I agree.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. And also therapy,
Mm-hmm.
can help. And going back, I wanted to touch on what you said about depression. So there's clinical depression, and there's, other more serious mental illnesses like schizophrenia, if people are delusional, or if you have bipolar disorder and you're kind of in a manic episode where, you might be impulsive and your judgment is off, or you're just, kind of having some psychotic symptoms. Those are some of the people that might be at risk, but it could also be somebody who's experiencing severe PTSD.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? And just like having a lot of memories and flashbacks and nightmares and can't deal or don't want to deal with the symptoms anymore. And then other times there are people who are what I call situationally depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning they may not be like the kind of person who presents with classical depression, but one or two life events, have caused them to really become depressed and hopeless. And sometimes that can lead to a decision to end your life. So it has many faces, right? Yeah. But when in doubt, if you know somebody, or if you yourself are suffering from this, the message is, please get help. There is no shame in depression. There is no shame in having suicidal thoughts, and there's a whole team of professionals who are trained and willing and able to support you.
And want to help you. They seriously want to help.
Yes, they seriously care.
Yep, they sure do.
So I also want to share a hotline for folks if they're, don't know where to start. You can always call the San Diego Access and Crisis Line. It's a 24/7 hotline, 365 days a year. It doesn't close, doesn't matter what holiday. It is 888-724-7240. Again, that's 888-724-7240. And I will post it on the Facebook link if you need it, okay? Do you have any other resources to share with our listeners and viewers?
Sure. You've given Optum Crisis Hotline. That's excellent. If you want to text anonymously to talk to somebody, it's 741-741.
I did not know about that.
Yes.
Who did they end up talking to?
I can't remember, but it's somebody that's reputable. It's a reputable organization.
Yeah, probably a peer or a professional. But
they are professionals. They're trained professionals. Yeah.
So 741-741. Wonderful.
741. Also, uptous.org or
Yep.
I think it's .org. That's San Diego Regional, and they can definitely help you with. It's a hotline, but it's not open 24/7.
It's a hotline. I think they have a lot of resources too, right? Up to
Yes,
us.org.
but the best resource that I know of is 211.
Yes. 211.
211.
I used to refer to 211 all the time when I worked at the San Diego Access and Crisis Line. Yeah, so 211, you guys, is like your one-stop shop for all your social service needs, your information, resources, groups, food pantry, emergency information
Mhm.
that's happening locally in the community. It is really a great resource. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yes.
So that's it. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for being here. And again,
my
thank you
pleasure.
from one woman to another who's
Yeah.
trying to make a difference in the world. I honor your work and thank you for doing what you do. And if there's anything we can do to help at Get Mental, please reach out. So
Thank you, Cecilia. You rock, and thank you so much for having me.
thank you.
All right, bye.
Okay,
Have a great
bye
day.
for now.
Okay, honey.